Okay. Welcome. That was weird. I'm Emily. Welcome. I'm going to talk to everyone online. There are only 2 people here. We're having the best time. So this is Stat 230. As you have obviously figured out, you are allowed to join in online. And it looks like a lot of people are using that option. I am curious to know if you guys who showed up in person are regretting your decision. Should you have just joined in online? I don't know. Maybe I'll put up I don't know. We'll see. It's supposed to be in person, but everyone just wants to be online, I guess. Let's see if I can see the chat here. I'm gonna try to have my setup at home, and everything is so different here. And I'm like, I'm used to teaching online. This is well, I had a class yesterday, but again, there were only 2 people there, so it happens. Now I'm just trying to figure stuff out. Okay. Pretty breezy day today. Course outline, just a little task to get you set up, and then you'll be free. So easy day. Stat 230, maybe you're in the biology. Oh yeah, coming to class, it's risky. You might get COVID. I know. That's true, actually. It is more likely than staying home. Okay, so where was I? Course outline, little task, get you on your way. All right. I'll try to keep it on the short side because I'm hotspotting from my phone and who knows how much data this is using. So anyways, let's see here. So I just wanted to walk you through, there's not a ton showing on our Moodle page yet because I was sick. I was so happy when classes were postponed because I was totally sick and I wasn't sure how to do it. And so things worked out. Let's see here. So there's a lot of stuff that's hidden because I didn't want to show it to you guys and overwhelm you right away before we were even started. So let's make some room here. You obviously found the classroom link and I sent out a message. I'm so used to like going over and pointing at the screen, but now I can't do that because then I'd be off the screen. I'm tethered. So you found the classroom link, so that's good. I'm gonna use the same Zoom classroom all the time. I use it for all my courses, and it's pretty well if we're gonna meet online, then that's where we will meet. So that's just my Zoom room. I posted the textbook that we're gonna be using. It's a free textbook, obviously, otherwise I can't post the PDF, but I did, because I'm old school, I like to have a physical copy. I got this one on Amazon. I think it was like $20 or something. So if you did want a physical copy, you can buy them. Make sure you get the 4th edition because they did some major changes from the 3rd edition, unlike most textbooks where they just like add a couple of questions and take away a couple of questions. They made some major changes so that I love. So if you're buying it, make sure you get the 4th edition. It's not available in the bookstore because they get really mad when I order stuff in and then no one buys it. So I decided not to do that, for better or for worse. In case you don't know, there's a link to the Success Center. which is basically free tutoring. They are here in person in the library, kind of tucked away inside the library if you haven't been there. But you can also meet with them online. And so they have a stats tutor, and I'm not sure what their name is now, but Kate, I know Kate, and she's really awesome. So she'll be able to help you out for sure. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff. The formula sheet is hidden. I'm not even going to show it to you guys because I saved that until you're locked in and you're not running away scared anymore, and we'll work through it. I did post my schedule, just so you know where I am and kind of when I'm going to be using the Zoom room, because that's when I'll be in there, and kind of when I'm free to meet with you. Pretty well all the time I have this awesome schedule. The only problem is that right after this class, I have an online class. I'm not sure how to pull that off. So we'll see. We'll see, because I don't have time to go home or anything. I'll figure it out. But yeah, so let's see here. So that's just kind of what's going on. One main thing that I wanted to ask you guys, and let me know in the chat, that Friday blip, I wanted to see if you guys are okay with me posting a recording for the Fridays so we don't have to show up for the 50 minutes. Or, I mean, even online. I was thinking more for in-person, because sometimes it's hard to get here, it's hard to get parking, and when it's just a 50-minute class, it just kind of seems a little bit weird, and it frees up your Friday. It's what my morning one wanted to do, so because they have that 8 a.m. Friday morning class. Terrible. Who did that? I don't know. It wasn't me. I promise it wasn't me. Yeah, so that's what they wanted to do. So I'll be making, and it's the same course. So they'll be getting a video for Fridays. So if that's something that you want, then I can definitely do that, or we can meet or play it by ear. Anyways, something to think about. I posted that, and I posted, where's my Moodle? Nope. Nope. Hey, that's not even me. There. Okay. I did post the course outline. I was flip-flopping back and forth on a couple of things, so just deciding here. Let me just bring it in so I can write on it. Okay, so I do just want to kind of walk you through the course outline, pretty basic stuff. So it's got my contact information, which I also like to put at the top of our Moodle page so that it's always there. You'll see at the top of our Moodle page, I also have, let's see here, my cell phone. So if you're working on a problem and you want to just text me, then that is totally fine. In fact, I encourage it, because if you're working on paper and you're working through a problem and then you're kind of stuck and it's not working, and then what I find is the easiest way is for you to just send me a picture, and then I can do the same. I can kind of work it out on my end. I send you a picture back, and it's just like a little bit quicker than the email. I feel like when you write an email, you have to say, oh, hi, Emily, how are you doing? Hope you're well. Things like that, right? And so we don't have to do that if we're texting, right? And so I guess we don't have to do it in an email either, but it's just hard to start an email without kind of the preamble. Whereas if you're texting, you can just, say, hey, I'm working on this problem. It's not working. Where am I going wrong? And then I can check it. Now, don't worry about when you're texting me, because I'm an adult. I can not check my phone if it's not appropriate and things like that. So I would prefer it if you just sent me a question. If you have a question, no matter when you're working on it, just send it to me, and then usually I try to be pretty quick to get back to you if it's appropriate, and then obviously if not, sometimes I'll just kind of let you know that, oh, I won't be able to look at it until later, basic stuff. But anyways, so that's kind of my preferred method, I think. But if you don't want to text me, that's totally fine. Don't call me because one, my ringer is never on, and so I won't pick up probably. And two, even if I do see someone's calling, that's just weird. I don't pick up anyways. Let them leave a message and then I'll maybe call them back. But yeah, so texting me is usually pretty safe. So, and I've done that for a long time where I kind of give out my cell phone and it works really well. And I know it's probably weird, but anyways, I have it there, but let me go back to my office hours, especially when I was doing only online classes. It got to be that, okay, I'm just sitting there in an empty Zoom room for 2 hours. And it's weird. You think you can do stuff on the side, but you can't really because your whole Zoom screen is kind of taking it up. And anyways, so it's a huge waste of my time when no one shows up. So instead, what I've decided, I'm just anytime that you want to meet with me, and often I'm available on very short notice. And we can either meet in our Zoom room or we can meet in person. Now that I have in-person classes again, I'm pretty much always on campus. And my office is in the C building, which despite being in the B building, it's way across town here. No, it's way across in the lab building. It's weird, but and it's a shared office, but I have the desk that's right in front of the door. So you'll see if I'm there. And it just is always locked. So I'll have to let you in, but if I'm there, you can ask me questions. So don't hesitate. And you can always just text me and see if I'm around if you wanted to meet in person. Even people who are around in town often just want to meet online anyways. So that's totally fine. Okay, so good office hours. Something to think about, something I want you to kind of think about what you would want is if the Friday, do you want it to just be a recording and you can watch it over the weekend? Just something to think about. Okay, and I'll probably put up an official poll. When I only had 2 people show up the other day, I just kind of asked them what they wanted. But with more people, I think we should have an official poll. Okay, okay, so we talked about the textbook, but here, if you wanted the link, you can download the textbook just straight from them. I think they have an option where you can buy the textbook there, but I don't know. I didn't because the shipping was all weird. So I just went with Amazon. I know it's shame on me. But anyways, yeah, so I've posted the PDF, but if you want a hard copy, you can get it. Now, the thing I was kind of flip-flopping on was typically in this course, we have just 2 tests worth 40%, so 20% each, kind of a big chunkier grade, except for the final exam, which is going to be 40%. But what I was kind of leaning towards, so this is, well, it's set in stone now because I put it, no, it's not set in stone. If there's a huge revolt and you prefer to have 2 big tests, that's fine. But what I wanted to try was if we just did 4 timed quizzes. So what I would do is I would have it available from Friday morning until Sunday night. Okay. And so it would be a 50-minute timed quiz. So in theory, you could use that Friday block that we have to sit down and do this quiz. And there would be 4 of them throughout the term, but you have the option of kind of scheduling it anytime that works for you over the weekend. So that's what I want to try this term. I think it's better to have kind of smaller check-in points, right? So now they're 10% each, and I can kind of check in with you guys a little bit more often than just 2 big tests that kind of snowball out of control. You will have assignments pretty much, every week. Sometimes there will be kind of 2, depending on how much material we cover. The assignments are going to be posted on Moodle, and you'll access them through Moodle. And I'm using this program that's got a really cute function. It's got late passes. So you'll have 10 late passes, which is tons, but I just wanted to give you lots. And how it works is you apply a late pass when you know you need a late pass, kind of self-explanatory, and it extends the deadline by 24 hours. So, and you can apply more than 1 late pass, but you have to apply it before the due date. Otherwise, you're hooped. So just like in a regular job situation, you have to ask for an extension before the due date. And so I'm going to stick with that, but you'll each have 10 late passes. So what that means is I don't want to have emails saying, oh, can I have an extension? You have 10 late passes. That should be enough. So that's what I'm doing for the assignments. The assignment questions are typically a little bit harder than what would be on a quiz. However, the quizzes and the final exam questions feel harder just because you haven't seen them before. Whereas assignments, you have time to look things up, and you have time to talk to your friends, and you have time to ask me questions. And so they are kind of hefty. But my goal is everyone should have roughly 100% in the assignments. If you're not kind of in the 90 to 100% zone on the assignments, you're doing something wrong, right? So because you're going to have 10 attempts for each question, it'll tell you if it's right or wrong. It won't tell you the answer, obviously, but you'll be able to retry it. So maybe, so as long as you're working through stuff and you're kind of working on the assignments, you should have a really high assignment grade overall. Okay, so, and that's kind of where I check in, and I'm able to see how people are doing, because I am expecting those high grades in the assignments. Overall, I am, of course, hoping that everyone gets a high grade, and anything that you need to help me get you there, besides what I'm doing, then just let me know. Okay, so assignments, and then the 4 quizzes. I'm curious, well, there's only the 2 of you here. The 2 quizzes versus the big 2 tests. I don't know. How do you guys, oh, no score reductions. I had a chat here. It doesn't affect your score. You're not penalized for retrying the question, because my goal is that you're just trying these questions until you get it, and you're getting that instant feedback that is impossible to do with written assignments. So that's my goal. So no penalties for retrying a question. I can change it so that after 10 attempts, you might be penalized, but you shouldn't need that many, because you should be reaching out to me for help. Okay. The final exam is going to be worth 40%. Because this is a kind of a hybrid, let's call it, you've got the option to be online or in person. I'm tempted to have an online final exam. I don't know what I have to talk to my boss upstairs and see what he wants to do, what the deal is there, because I'm just having a hard time figuring out what to do in this situation. So it is going to be cumulative. It is going to be during the final exam period. It is going to be 3 hours. So kind of all the basic layouts, and it's going to be worth 40% of your grade. There are learning outcomes here. And by the end of the course, all of this will make sense, but maybe don't read too much into it right now because it's going to feel really scary, probably. And that's okay, but we're going to work through it and we're going to kind of plug through it, and you will know all of this. So what I like to do is I like to revisit the learning outcomes at the end of the course and just kind of highlight that, yes, we did talk about all these things and you do know all of these things. And that's kind of a good feeling. But now maybe, yeah, scroll past it. Don't worry about it. There. Okay. So pretty brief course content, because what we're going to be doing is we are just going to work through pretty much as all of the textbook. Kind of a good feeling, right? If you can just hold it or see it and say, oh, if I could just learn this much, that's it. Not even, actually. We're not going to get all through chapter 9. So I taught this course last term and we didn't get very far into chapter 9. So it's only really this much. Not bad, right? And then there's pictures and stuff. Yeah, easy. No, I shouldn't say easy, but it will be fun. So I encourage you to read ahead. I'll post which sections I plan on going through each day. Like I said, I was terribly sick before school started and I didn't do anything. I couldn't get anything done. And so now I'm playing catch up, and it's the worst, but we'll get there. And so before each day, you'll know what you should have read, and then you can feel bad about not reading it. And then maybe one day you'll have all your readings done, and that'll feel good too. But anyways, so we're pretty well gonna just work through the textbook right through chapter 8 and then chapter 9, but not all of it because that's impossible. But 1 through 8 very thoroughly. Okay. So there aren't a ton of so these department policies are auto-generated. So some of them don't really apply because, for example, the written assignments, well, we don't have written assignments because I'm just doing them online because I feel that it's better to kind of have that instant feedback and you can work through it. And yeah, so that one doesn't matter. We're not going to have tests, we're going to have quizzes, and you're going to have lots of time to do them. So I don't anticipate having to deal with any makeup tests or anything like that. Attendance, I don't actually care if you come to class or don't come to class in person or online. It doesn't matter to me. What I care about is that you learn the material. So, hey, I didn't talk about YouTube. What? So anyways, I'll be posting this recording on YouTube. After class, it has to process, so it takes a little bit of time. But on our Moodle page, I skipped through it. So I was like, oh yeah, YouTube, whatever. It's hidden right now because it's got the old lectures. But now that we've talked about it, I will show it to you guys. I can unhide it, show it. Okay, I just don't want to show it, and then you guys are all thrown off by these old videos. This doesn't make sense, and then I get emails about it. So anyways, so there will be we'll have a playlist for this class. So after every class, I post the video. So if you miss a class, that is totally fine. It doesn't, like I said, as long as you're staying on top of things, it doesn't matter to me. So after class, I post the video, and here, I guess you could look at the one from last term, the videos from last term, and if you wanted to. Kind of boring though, but anyways, so that'll be there. I'll post the notes that we write in class. So typically, of course, I use my tablet as kind of the whiteboard. So here I would, write stuff. And then of course I'll post these after class. Today we're not really writing anything, so I might not post them. It seems redundant, but in general, if you're finding that I may be writing too fast, or you missed something, or you weren't able to come to class, then these notes that I'm writing will be posted as well. So you'll have the notes, you'll have the video. So for that reason, attendance is completely optional. I always think it's really sweet when people let me know, oh, I won't be able to come to class. That's okay. That is a-okay. But so you don't even have to let me know. One thing that I'll bring up again, this is rarely an issue. It's just that it's something to keep in mind. So as a department, we've decided that you have to get at least 45% on the final exam in order to be able to pass the course. And so the final exam now is worth 40% of your grade. So it's not as deceiving, but when we were all online, we made the final exam worth less. And so kind of set people up for disaster. But I do want to just highlight that is a policy. And I'll reiterate closer to the final exam so you can kind of ignore that. I will say this policy is rarely ever an issue, but it does happen. And I just want everyone to know that. It says there's a specific kind of non-programmable, non-graphing scientific calculator. I don't care which calculator you use. If you've got a favorite calculator, that's great. I always carry a calculator, but I like to mix it up. Which one do I have right now? Right now I've got just this little guy. Any calculator will do. Try not to use your phone because my phone just is terrible for doing calculations on. Maybe because I'm used to just having a calculator, but you should have some sort of calculator. And I will give you a formula sheet when we need it. I don't want to overload you guys because we will be kind of plugging away at it as you need it. So you will have a formula sheet when you need it, and I'll be really clear, or I'll try to be really clear about things you need to memorize and things that will be on the formula sheet. Okay, so as soon as formula sheet stuff comes up, I'll give you the formula sheet. And the final exam is cumulative, which is always a question that I get, and it is going to cover all the material. Okay. But it'll basically be a mashup of all the 4 quizzes that you do, and the assignments will be good practice for the quizzes, and the assignments and the quizzes will be good practice for the final exam. So they're all working together. Okay. And so the important dates, just something to keep in mind is the last day to drop a course is Friday, January 21st without a withdrawal. And then if you feel by around March 9th, 10th that there's no way you're going to pass this course, then you're better off going with a withdrawal than a fail, because a withdrawal doesn't affect your GPA, whereas a fail definitely does affect your GPA. So it kind of gets strategic there. So we like to have that in there. And our last day of classes is April 14th because we were kind of bounced back, but luckily we didn't lose any days. I know, bummer, right? But good for me. Sad for you. But then we go straight into Easter, and then we have final exams. So kind of a nice break before final exams, I guess. Okay. There's a link to the success centers, academic integrity, don't cheat. That's it. We all know what cheating is. And if you're unsure, then just talk to me, and that will be better than anything else. Let's see here. So that's the course outline bit. As a kind of a first assignment, or I shouldn't say kind of, it is your first assignment. What I want you to do is I want to make sure that you guys are all set up with our studio. So what we're going to be using briefly, so not a ton, but it's just a good exercise to get set up. And so let's see here. We're going to be using a programming language called R. So R is a statistical programming language, and we will be using it a little bit. We don't have a lab component for this course, and so we're not going to be doing a ton of it, but it is good to be aware that it exists and kind of feel a little bit familiar with it. On our Moodle page, where is it? Here. Hey, did I thought I had unhidden it, but now if you refresh, it should be showing the day one markdown test document, which is all gibberish for a little bit longer. But what I want to do is just make sure that everyone is set up with R and R Studio. So R is the language that we're learning, and R has a notoriously steep learning curve. So it's going to be difficult in the beginning, but I like it because, one, it's the kind of the main programming language that we use in stats and analytics. And if you know R, or if you kind of feel a little bit comfortable with R, then you can learn any other language because they will feel a lot easier. So even if you go and all the things that we're going to do, we can do in Excel, and we can do in SPSS, and we can do in SAS, and there's tons of languages and tools that we could use. But if you know R, then you know the hardest one, and everything else will come a little bit easier. So I just was playing around with RStudio Cloud, which I'm going to encourage you to use. And so if you search for RStudio Cloud, let's see here. Oh, I didn't want to. What if I log out? Where will it take me? Okay. So you'll have to sign up for an account, but it should be free. And what's really nice about RStudio Cloud, as far as I can tell, because I haven't played around with it too much, but as far as I can tell, you don't have to download any programs, whereas that's a big issue when we're setting up R and RStudio. You can download it and have it on your own machine, and I can help you do that. I'm happy to help you do that. But this way you can just hit the ground running. You can just get started and just kind of get a feel for things and for how little we're going to use this. It's just nice to have something that's up and running and not taking up a ton of room on your machine. So I encourage you to use RStudio Cloud. What's great is you can even use it on like a tablet, whereas you typically can't download R in RStudio on a tablet, or at least an iPad like I'm using. But anyways, so you'll have to sign up, I guess, get an account. Oh, password there. But once you log in, what I want you to do, okay, it won't have this. It'll look like this, probably, ish. Okay, so you can kind of poke around in here, but if you're familiar with R and RStudio, then this will look fine. But if you're not, it's going to look really overwhelming. Okay. But for today, what I want you to do is set up an account for RStudio Cloud. Okay. So here, I'll write it down. My writing is terrible, and I'm sorry. My hands sometimes won't cooperate. So anyways, so I've given up. But anyways, so you'll learn how to read it. It'll be a learning curve. So your assignment is, oops, set up a RStudio Cloud account. Oops. Okay. Oh, if you have R and RStudio installed on your computer already, then absolutely just feel free to use that. But you might have to also install LaTeX. So if you need help doing that, if you want it installed and be up and running on your own computer, I am happy to help you get set up there. But for this course, I'm just going to use the cloud one. That was just a chat question. But so you're welcome to use your own computer and have it kind of downloaded. But what I want you to do is I want you to start a new file, I guess. So there's the little plus sign, okay? And what I want you to do is we're going to be working in our markdown file. So there's lots of other files that we could start, and I encourage you to play around with it. But for us, we're going to do an R markdown file. And it might prompt you and say, hey, I need these libraries. And you just say, yes, go ahead, install them. And eventually you'll end up at a window that looks like this. So I installed them all yesterday in my other class. And so eventually, and it takes a little bit, you'll have a screen that looks like this. So you can make a document, you can make a presentation, you can do a shiny app, which is an interactive app, which is really fun. Oh, I don't know about the R GUI. So you'll have to install R and RStudio. So I can have a look at that maybe after. Okay, so for today though, what I want you to do is, so I'll check in with that. You can change the title here, markdown test document or something. As in testing, not a test. very confusing. So a markdown document, and the author is me, Emily. And what I want you to do is I want you to output to PDF. Now, if you're working on your own computer, you would need some version of LaTeX, which is a typesetting language that I use a lot, but it needs it to run. And so it's got a couple of options there. So MikTeX if you're working on Windows, MacTeX if you're working on a Mac, or Tech Live is also an option. I think I use Tech Shop. Anyways, doesn't matter. You can try those options there. They're all free, so but LaTeX can be quite a large download, but that's what you need to generate a PDF, which is what I want. And what you'll need for other courses too, if you're in data science. Now, so I'm going to select the PDF option and then hit OK. So it's going to generate this document. And for now, all you really need to know is that everything in the white section, so there's going to be white sections and gray sections. Let me just kind of zoom in here. Everything in the white section would be basically your Word document. So where you type all your words and where you explain your findings and where you talk about everything that you see. And then the gray sections would be basically your Excel file, right? Where you're generating the graphs, where you're doing the calculations, where you're generating your analyses, okay? And so what we're doing is we're going to be knitting, and that's the term that they use. And there's even a little ball of yarn when you knit, okay? So you're going to knit those two together and it's going to generate a file, okay? And so for today, we're just going to keep all this default stuff that comes with it. And all I want you to do, and it's going to sound simple, but depending on how much setup you need to do, it might not be so simple, but I want you to knit to PDF, and you're going to have to save it. Save the file, and just keep track of where you save the file, because that's where the PDF will be saved once it's generated. Okay. One thing is it doesn't like spaces typically in the name. So I'm going to call this markdown. Oops. Can't spell it all. Markdown test. And because I already have one, I'll do markdown test 2. Why not? And I'm going to have no spaces in there. And if I hit save, you'll see it'll start thinking, and I'm on a tablet, so it's complaining, but it should generate a pop-up, and you might have to allow it, of this PDF document. So it shows this minimal working example of kind of what you can do with this document. Okay. So here, I don't have a pointer when I'm online, but there's a little, I'm going to see if I can hold it. Oops. Anyways, hopefully you saw it. There's a little download button, and that's where you can download your PDF and upload it to Moodle. Okay. And so here, set up an RStudio account, cloud account, create a new R Markdown document. Oops. Oops. Knit to PDF and download. You might not have to download it. I haven't really checked it out. It might just go on your computer somewhere maybe, but I don't know. And then upload the PDF to Moodle by 11:59. So all my due dates are at midnight. but midnight is confusing because that's actually the beginning of the next day. Anyways, so I do 11:59 p.m. On Thursday, kind of tight. Usually I give you lots of time for deadlines, but I just want to make sure that everyone's set up and that we're tackling this right away. So on Thursday, I guess January, what's the date today? 13th. Okay, so hopefully that's okay. There's kind of step-by-steps if you don't want to use the RStudio Cloud, but I'll have to update maybe the instructions that I have there because I don't have the LaTeX download there. But anyways, no pointer again. Oh well. So there are some instructions there, but that's where you'll upload your test document. If you are installing it on your computer, on your personal computer, I did do a video and I have the link to it here. It's an old video where I show you how to kind of install R&R Studio on your computer. It's from 2018. And so things, minor things have probably changed, but in general, it might be useful. I don't download LaTeX here, but maybe I should do a new video. Anyways, not today. Do you guys have any questions? No. Everyone in the room is head down. No more questions. All right. So if there are no questions, then that's all I wanted to do today. Feels like plenty still. But yeah, no questions. It is a real assignment. Well, it's a real assignment, but that's all you have to do. It's due on Thursday at midnight. And the content of the PDF, let me just go back there and show you. It should look something like this with all just the default information. So you don't have to change anything. Just make sure that you're able. So what you're proving is that you know how to generate this PDF and upload it. And that will be all. So it's kind of a fake assignment, but it is real. It's going to count for your assignment marks, but it's just out of one. Did you do it or did you not do it? Okay. So if there aren't any more questions, I'm going to stop this recording and let you guys get on with your day. I'll see you on Thursday. Stop this.